With the version 6.3 livestream and the official reveal of Zibai and Lunar Crystallise, it's finally time to sit down and break everything apart properly. Let's start with Lunar Crystallise itself. Lunar Crystallise is a brand new reaction coming in version 6.3. Whenever you have Columbina or Zibai on the team and Hydro reacts with Geo, you trigger Lunar Crystallise. This creates 3 Moondrift spawns. After triggering Lunar Crystallise up to 3 times, these spawns deal additional Geo damage. The damage is based on the character triggering the reaction, using a formula very similar to Lunar Charge. Now let's move on to Zibai's kit. Zibai is a Lunar Crystallise main DPS joining us in the second phase of version 6.3. Her normal attacks are very simple and nothing special on their own. Her kit revolves around her elemental skill. When you activate it, she enters Lunar Phase Shift mode. During this state, her normal attacks become infused with Geo and she begins generating a resource called Phase Shift Radiance. This resource is used to perform her enhanced elemental skill. Before that, let's quickly cover her elemental burst. Her burst is straightforward. She unleashes 2 hits of Geo damage. The first is standard Geo damage, and the second is Lunar Geo damage, which contributes to triggering Lunar Crystallise. Now for her enhanced elemental skill. Zibai can store up to 100 Phase Shift Radiance points. Using her enhanced skill consumes 70 points at once to unleash a powerful Lunar Crystallise strike. Casting her normal skill immediately grants 10 points. Her normal and charged attacks generate 5 points per hit. However, the fastest way to charge her meter is by triggering Lunar Crystallise, which instantly grants 35 points. This means only 2 Lunar Crystallise reactions are needed to fully charge her enhanced skill. Her basic rotation is extremely simple. You press her skill, spam normal attacks until you unlock the enhanced skill, then cast it. You repeat this until the cooldown ends. In one full rotation, you can usually perform 4 enhanced skills. Make sure you do not swap out early and miss any enhanced casts. You can use her burst either at the beginning or at the end of the rotation. In Spiral Abyss, it's generally better to use it at the beginning so you have more time to recover energy. Her passive talents are also very solid. She can gain up to 14% Lunar Crystallise damage, scaling based on her defense. At around 2,000 defense, she reaches the maximum bonus. She also gains additional damage, scaling further with her defense. In addition, she gains bonus defense and elemental mastery based on her teammates. Now let's talk about her build. Zibai is a sword user and uses the main nod-krai DPS artifact set, Knight of the Skies path. You want defense percent on both the Sands and Goblet and crit on the Circlet. For substats, prioritize crit, defense, and elemental mastery. Energy recharge is also valuable since you want to use her burst consistently. For weapons, any crit or defense percent weapon works well. Her best in slot is her signature weapon, which provides 88% crit damage, 20% defense, and 64% Lunar Crystallise damage. This makes it incredibly strong on her. Other options like Chiori's weapon also work well. For 4-star weapons, the Notlin Craftable and Harbinger of Dawn perform extremely well. Harbinger of Dawn is actually one of her best weapons, making her very free-to-play friendly. Now let's move on to her teams. Thanks to her passive and how Lunar Crystallise works, most of her best teams revolve around Hydro and Geo teammates. Her premium setup consists of Zibai, Columbina, and Iluga. For the 4th slot, you have multiple options such as Goru, Zhongli, Shilonen, or Chiori. Goro at C6 is currently the best option here, thanks to the extra defense he provides and his massive C6 buffs. Shilonen can also work since her Geo Resistance Shred is always active, even though her healing does not apply in this setup. Keep in mind that for players running Zibai with Harbinger of Dawn, it is mandatory to have either a strong healer or a reliable shield. you always want to stay above 90% HP to maintain the weapon's massive crit rate bonus. This is slightly restrictive, especially since Zibai scales from defense, which cuts off access to many general support sets compared to units like Nefer or Flynn's. In general, you'll run Columbina on Morning Star and Moon, Iluga on Silken Moon, and for the 4th slot, if you are using Goro or Shilinen who do not contribute meaningful personal damage, they should run Instructor. If you are using Zhongli or Chiori, you should build them for personal damage since they contribute a noticeable amount to team DPS. With C6 Iluga, this team reaches around 150,000 DPS, which is massive and comparable to premium Mavuka teams. Columbina is by far Zibai's best in-slot support. I highly recommend pulling Columbina if you want Zibai to perform at her peak. Without Columbina, the damage loss is noticeable, not on the level of Skirk without Escoffier, but still significant. Iluga is her second best support, especially with constellations. Even at base, Iluga provides multiple buffs, including Elemental Mastery, Lunar Crystallise damage bonus, and crit buffs. His constellations scale extremely well. C2 adds strong personal damage, C4 grants 200 defense, his later constellations and Ascendant Gleam buffs provide massive crit rate, crit damage, and elemental mastery. At C6, Iluga increases total team DPS by roughly 20,000, which is insane. Most players will not reach C6, but for those who do, Iluga becomes one of the strongest supports in the game. If you do not have Columbina, I still recommend sticking to Hydro Geo teams. You can replace her with Furina, Xingqiu, or even Aino, especially if you have good constellations. These options are nowhere near Columbina's level, but they are the best alternatives available. Durin performs poorly with Zibai. His strong off-field Pyro application interferes with Lunar Crystallise by triggering Vape and Pyro Crystallise instead, which significantly reduces Lunar reaction uptime. This highlights how important a strong Hydro applicator is for Zibai. You want to trigger Lunar reactions as frequently as possible to recharge her enhanced skill faster. At best, you can perform 4 enhanced skills per rotation. With Durin, you often miss the final one due to reduced Lunar reaction uptime. Her best free-to-play team without Columbina is Iluga, Xingqiu, and Goro. With C2 Iluga, this setup performs around 90,000 DPS, which may look low compared to premium teams, but it is still very solid for a free-to-play composition. For players confused between C1 and R1, I recommend going for R1, especially if you do not already own a strong 5-star weapon. Both options are very close in value, with R1 being slightly better overall. In general, Zibai does not require constellations or refinements to perform well, so this decision is entirely up to you. Now, talking about her pull value, considering her strengths and weaknesses, Zibai is a very free-to-play friendly unit. The only character she truly needs to reach near maximum potential is Columbina, unlike Nefer or Flynn's who require both Columbina and their dedicated supports. She also has excellent free-to-play weapon options, and as a defense-scaling unit, her artifact requirements are much easier to fulfill. As a free-to-play DPS, I would rank Zibai in the same tier as Mavuka and Varessa, who are currently among the best DPS options for free-to-play players. That said, she does have some drawbacks. Because she scales from defense, most general buffer effects and common artifact set bonuses are far less effective on her. On top of that, as a Lunar DPS, generic damage bonuses are also much less valuable, which limits your buffing options even further. She's similar to Varessa in this regard, where a large portion of her damage comes from constellation investment on her 4-star supports. For example, C6 Iluga provides roughly 20,000 more DPS compared to C2 Iluga. Even so, I highly recommend pulling Columbina if you want Zibai to make a real impact on your account. Without Columbina, she is not a direct upgrade over older DPS units, but she can still comfortably clear Spiral Abyss. I have also made a tier list ranking the best supports for her, which you can see on screen right now. We will be making a dedicated video focused entirely on her team compositions, so stay tuned.